Welcome to the Independent Workforce, the podcast where we explore the now and the future of work through the lens of temporary employment, such as freelancers, contractors, fractional experts, you name it. Here we speak with CEOs, recruiters, founders, and industry leaders about how they work with independent talents, the wins, the challenges, and the lessons learned. My name is Yurii. I'm growing the freelance market at FreelancerMap, an international platform that's been connected top independent professionals with companies for over 20 years. And my guest is Nuri Demirci Lopez, who, as principal program manager at Microsoft, built one of the world's most advanced freelance-powered support ecosystem, including 900 plus product-led growth technical engineers and spanning 70 plus countries, 72 to be sure, and who's also a business school professor, AI startups founder, ask him about digital twins, and author of Leading the Unknown and the Inevitable Future of Work books. So welcome, Nuri.
Hi, thanks for having me. And you couldn't have started this better, indeed.
From the moment Mina told about you, and he was like, oh, my friend, he has a digital twin, and every time I need to talk, but I can't reach to him, I talk to him digital twin, and I get everything. I was like, I must talk to this person. Just connect us. We need to know each other. And then he was like, oh, yeah, it's Nuri. He's all, by the way, you also have to talk to him because he is like a huge ambassador of future of work. I'm like, let's do it. So, Nuri, first question. Tell me a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you end up working with flexible talents?
Yeah, I think it started when I took an Uber. So I have a car, right? So typically in Madrid, I would just take my car and I just would drive. One day I didn't have my car and I needed to take an Uber. And as a matter of fact, I'm also going to whisper about that. I didn't know that Uber existed. I really didn't know. So I have never heard about it. This happens around 8-9 years ago. And I was talking to the Uber driver. I'm a person who speaks to people as much as the same as you. I'm talking to the Uber driver and he's, this is a very interesting concept, this and that. I installed the application. My friend told me, and tell me a little bit about that. He said, look, this really changed my life. I was fired from an enterprise. I'm not going to tell the name. And thanks to Uber, now I'm able to hold a living. And I really love it because thanks to Uber, work comes to me rather than me needing to go and find work. That was the exact time when I say, hey, I'm working in Microsoft. I'm leading a huge team of support. And I say, hey, look, we need to get this opportunity and see how we can move the idea and the concept to Microsoft, especially in the Microsoft reactive support. So, flexibility, talent, price, those kind of things just kind of resonated to me. But most importantly, diversity and inclusion. So not only people who have taxi driving licenses can take people and do work, anyone in any color with any background can just do that. So it kind of really resonated to me. And we started to work with a very small budget. I'm going to talk about that. It was about $5,000 a month budget. I had a mentor who was a vice president, and he said, take $5,000, let's try it. We hired a couple of freelancers, and then we saw that it's really working. And as per last June, the monthly budget is $1.2 million that we invest for freelancers.
Wow. And, at some point, it looks like, for example, when you have HR recruiters, they also kind of come to you on LinkedIn, on some platforms. So it kind of also seems like works come to you. So why these freelancers? Why flexible talents?
Yeah, they bring a lot of expertise, right? That's the fact. Second, their prices and the price points are really, really very, very interesting. Third, most of the freelancers that we work with are really curious people. And one thing which is really important for us as well is that they're helping you to scale up and scale down as you want. So, scaling up flexibility. And we really found it out a lot more during COVID. During COVID, Microsoft 365 support didn't suffer at all because we had flexible workforce. It just came. Maybe you remember there was a huge happening just 1 year ago, which we called the Dana, which was Valencia region has been impacted by massive floods. 200 and something people have died. thousands of people claimed their from their insurance, their cars, their houses, and everything like that. Insurance companies, they wanted to pay, but they didn't have the workforce to process the payments, listen to their customers. And I published a LinkedIn post where I say, hey, if those insurance companies would have had a network of freelancers already ready, no one we really would have suffered from all of those payments and all of the delays. And so for me, scaling is very important. You need to scale with talent, competence, and compliance. So these are kind of very important factors, but this is the main reason.
You know, it sounds like when there are areas where there are earthquakes, they build houses on the specific platforms that can move. And like if the earthquake happens, there is like much lower chance that something will happen with this house. And I feel like it's exactly like that for companies, because earthquakes happens and you cannot avoid them. And still, when you have this flexible talents, you kind of like build your business on this flexible platform.
Yes, 100% agreed with that. And I think more and more companies are going towards this direction. There are some things that I think companies need to consider when they build the flexible talent and integrate it to their internal workforce. So you need to have some experts, I think, in that, like you have experts for AI, digitalization, and et cetera, for sure.
You told that freelancers are curious people, and I'm not saying that full-time employees are not curious. There are a lot of curious people in the world because there are so many things happening in different companies. And still, from your experience, can you like talk about the percentage of, like, I don't know, how many freelancers were curious that you met? And by the way, what do you mean by saying curious also?
Yeah, it's all about curious about learning. Curious, I'm hungry for learning, curious about learning, curious about what other connections that they can make within the organization. So when you look at Microsoft is a huge company. And in my startup that I'm running, we also work with freelancers. So it's not a huge organization, but they're always asking the question. It's very interesting because they're interested in their next gig whenever possible. So they constantly explore. That's the first thing. But the second thing is almost 80 to 85% of the freelancers that I work with in the last 8 years, I've been working with more or less 5,000 to 6,000 freelancers in total.
Oh, wow.
At any point in time, around 900, 950 freelancers. So when you look at them, when you know that you're working with such a great company like Microsoft, you just naturally start exploring opportunities and start exploring the knowledge. And, you know, I had so many questions coming in about technology, the roadmap, strategy, operations, or whatever. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to build my digital human twin, because you get tons of questions that are repetitive and you are not available 24/7. So why not creating a human digital twin empowered by AI and give this to your fellow freelancers so that whenever they have this curious questions that they want to ask on, where can I find this? Where can I get this information? What could be my next role? Could you connect me with your network within Microsoft in Azure or in Dynamics or whatever? So this is when I mean about curiosity. When you are, let me put it the right, when you're very comfortable or almost secure that your job is there and is going to be there like a full-time employee, I do believe that not everyone, but most of the people get comfortable, right?
Yeah.
That's what I like from freelancers, because freelancers, they need to be able to performing top. I'm not talking about stressing the freelancers and using this, but what I like from a freelancer is that they're always working at their peak, their optimum, and they're always engaging so that possibly they can learn for their next gig and their next task or job and expanding their network. And I really like that dynamics that freelancers bring.
You know, to your point, I feel like people got comfortable with certainty that they can rely on this job. And I remember I had a freelance Thrive conversation with another Mina client, and he told that I get used to uncertainty. So basically, I feel like freelancers are comfortable with uncertainty. So they are okay. So if there is a project, amazing, I'm ready to work with it. There is no project, okay, I will prepare, I will search for another project. So they are constantly on the move. They can say that they are, and once again, to your point, I don't think that in current economy, like being a full-time person is like gives you certainty, because there are so many layoffs, and we like read in the news like here, this company laid off like 10,000 people, this company laid off like 20,000 people. It's like crazy, massive numbers. So I don't think that people are protected from everything, right now.
That's
So
correct.
who
It's
knows?
more like the mindset, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, totally, totally. You have to be ready for anything.
Yeah.
Once again, I remember that I read it, either read it or heard it somewhere, that in the moment of uncertainty, you fall to your minimum preparation. So that's like the approach of Navy SEALs. So they what they do, a lot of trainings, and it looks like they will never use it in life. But once again, in the crisis situation, you don't have time to think. You have time to only react. And if you are ready for that, you will find a way.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's jump more into this nitty-gritty of you working with freelancers, and I'm curious, in which areas of business do you usually use freelancers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to again divide it into two. So one is the Microsoft. So Microsoft, like 8.6 more or less years ago, we started on reactive support, and it was all about Microsoft 365. So it was like Microsoft 365, sales and adoption. It's a great product. It's going skyrocket. From one side, Microsoft already started to implement a lot of AI-related, self-help, self-serve, and even self-heal technologies. But still, the usage was going up. So that was kind of the reactive side of it. But in the last 2 years, we've been focusing more on product-led growth, which means how can we reduce churn? How can we help people to adopt our technologies, and including Copilot? So these are kind of two type of areas. In the last 2 years, there were a lot more proactive activities that we have been driving, but also we had such amazing experts that helped us to make Copilot better. So, from one side, they didn't code anything about Copilot, but with the insights and the ideas that they brought, we connected them with the product team directly, and they were having conversations with the product team to make Copilot a lot better. And then we had one other team that were developers, and they were building some technology on how can we have AI and Copilot help in onboarding the freelancers. And we might talk about it, or you would like to talk about it on the very short time of onboarding process that we have. All of those things have been built by freelancers together with the secure access systems of freelancers to our partially to our customer data. So it was support, it was proactive, it was product-led growth, it was developing tools and developing technologies and helping our Copilot product be a lot better. So as you can see, it's kind of a broad spectrum of work and things that they've been doing.
How do you trust them? How are you not afraid? I mean, like, why I'm asking, like, a little bit of context behind. So I'm currently talking to many different companies and like telling them about the benefits of working with freelancers or flexible talents. And they're afraid. They have this fixed mindset. They want to own people. They want someone to sit in their office from 9 to 5, and sometimes are not even ready to go into hybrid mode. So how do you know that you trust them?
I mean, it's something that we also struggled and thought about really thoroughly. So in U.S. Marine operations in Iraq, one of the person that has been stealing information from some bases and sharing it with the Iraq workforce was a U.S. Marine. So you being a permanent US Marine doesn't mean that you will not do all of those bad kind of things. So that's kind of, I really want to park. I admire Marines, so I'm not saying that Marines are bad, but please, so I don't want to be misunderstood. Anyone can do anything bad if they want to. Now, we have a very good selection process together with our freelancing partners in getting the right people to the right profile. So we need to have, we have a first evaluation of the profiles by our freelancing platforms. They do a background check where it's allowed. So they do a deep background check. And those individuals must have had at least 4 or 5 engagement with some companies that have significant size, like at least 15 to 20 people, and a great feedback. So those people come in, and then we have a set of senior freelancers that are doing technical interviews with those individuals. We have an onboarding process. During the onboarding process, we had a freelancer who is a psychologist and observing the people, their behaviors, how do they talk, what questions do they ask, are they silent, are they distracted, do they seem to have some type of, we saw it, do they seem to have like some comments that might be somehow small indications of racism, things like that. So we have that person as well. So that individuals, so they come through kind of a funnel, right? And then they start incorporating with a mentor in the team. And within that, it's not only the psychological or mindset kind of thing that is going in, and we are very cautious about. The tools that we have and Microsoft has on remote access and monitorization tools, we can see certain patterns of people are behaving, the ethics, compliance, and etc. We are able to detect that on the spot, and we are able to just cut the connection of those people if we see something really strange, do an investigation through our freelancing platform. So it took us time to build that, right? 8 years ago, Yurii, this was very difficult. And 8 years ago, everyone would, even in Microsoft, hey, are we crazy? What are we doing? So, but today, you just embrace that to the maximum. This doesn't mean that the freelancing platforms that you work with are always at their best. So you need to be on top of them constantly, and you need to really select the best freelancing platforms that have curated. I always use the word curation. So if you are partnering with the freelancing platforms, they need to have and they need to prove that they have a curated set of individuals.
This episode of The Independent Workforce is brought to you by FreelancerMap, the home of freelancing. Whether you are looking to hire top freelance talent fast or a freelancer ready to find your next big project, FreelancerMap connects the right people with the right work. No endless job boards, no guesswork, just direct access to verified experts and opportunities across the globe. Visit freelancermap.com and start building your next success story today. So it sounds like you let platforms to vet all those freelancers to kind of like, and you've told that to pre-screen, to do all this job. And what sounds like, name some specific platforms or tools or networks that you use to find freelancers.
Yeah, that's great. So we've been basically using a few freelancing platforms. One of them is Upwork. I guess everyone knows Upwork. It's a big platform. Another platform that we've been using has been ProTeams. They are based in Denmark. I think in the world, I don't want to favor any platform, but from my experience, it's the best. And it's not, I don't get paid for advertising, but it's the best curated platform that I ever work with. So the name is ProTeams. Then we have Malt, which is a French company. We've been working with Limitless from UK. We also been working with Shakers from Spain. Nico, who is one of the co-founders, is a good friend of mine. They also have a very good curated platform. But also, when you look at LinkedIn, or especially LinkedIn, I would say, you're able to find those profiles if you want to.
It's not that easy. Yeah, let's be honest.
Easy.
There are so many people out there. Yeah. And you know what I really love, like about what you were talking, it sounded like freelancers are hiring freelancers during your onboarding process. So basically you kind of like recreated the system that you don't even need to include like internal parts. So tell me more about this onboarding. Like, how does it work? Like from the moment that person is kind of like coming to your pipeline. So for example, you go to a platform and they give you a talent. What happens next?
Yeah, they give us a talent. Our freelancers do a technical screening. Our freelancers build an AI tool. I've been product managing it, that is able to screen further the freelancer and also is able to detect if that freelancer is using AI to answer the questions or technical questions. So our freelancers, again, I program manage that, I product manage the product. So they go through all of this. They don't know if they are being monitored from the AI to see if they are using AI, yes or no. And then they go into an onboarding session. The onboarding session is really more about they understanding what the goals are, what the KPIs are, what's the culture, what is our culture, what do we expect, the mindset, the program expectations, what are the rules of the game. We don't force anyone to do anything in a certain way. We don't have that rules. It's like football, right? Football has some rules. So 11 people, there's a ball, you need to score. But how teams play, you don't force them, right? In our case, it's the same. They know that they go into a flat organization. Our organization possibly is the first flat organization since 1975 in Microsoft history. It's a complete flat organization. There is no hierarchy. We were able to implement that. Now, they go through a 3-day onboarding process. It's about 6 hours a day with some cool breaks. And then they are given another AI tool so that they can keep the onboarding, keep on asking those questions. Because, you know, when you go to an onboarding session, if you've been working in a company, people throw so much information at you. And then when you just get out of the room, say, hey, what's my name? I've forgotten my name.
Exactly.
So we also gave them a tool that I program managed as well, product managed, created by Freelancers AI tool, so that they keep on that lifelong learning. And once they're done, we introduce them to their team responsible. We don't like using like managers or leads, although we use them, but we don't really mean it because again, we don't have hierarchy. So their team responsible, let's say it like that, the coach gets that person, introduces to the teams that they have, and etc. and etc. So you know, the tools that we have been, so one of the most important component of the training would be how to use the tools, how to use the systems, and etc. and etc. But most importantly, really most importantly, there is a session on why. Why are we here? Why do we exist? Why do we have freelancers in our organization? Like Simon Sinek, I think, is a great person with that respect. We stole his ideas on, you know, start with why. And that's what we initially start, and it really impacts the people. Rather than transactions, we're talking about the why and the reasons and etc. And then we keep on preparing them. After like 4 or 5 weeks, the person is completely incorporated. They can interact with our tools, with our systems, and they become just one of the Marines, one of us.
You know, for freelancers who are going through and who are listening to this conversation, for example, it might sound like a fairy tale because they are taken care of, they're given like specific information, they're given all the guidelines, and they can start easily. And for people who are hiring and who don't have such system, it might sound like rocket science because like, oh my God, they have so many systems, they do it so easily. How can we do that? So from your experience, definitely you didn't have all this system in place like right away. So for someone who is starting hiring freelancers or want to improve their manual process that exists, like how to make this onboarding really, really nice so that freelancers feel well and can start as fast as possible?
Yeah, it's all about you should hire a freelancer to define those processes, to be honest. So, you know, there are some great extraordinary HR people or strategists or whatever, or managers and say, look, go and build this. So it really doesn't work very well because you need to really understand what a freelancer needs so that he or she can go and be onboarded. So that's the first thing. The second thing is going to be a little bit advertisement. Talk to my digital twin. My digital twin is going to talk about how to do all of this and build the system. And yeah, the most important thing for you is to start slow. That's very important. You need to start slow. You cannot just, you know, we started very slow, like 4 or 5 people, and we became almost 1,000. You need to start slow, and you need to sit down with all of the experts that you have around you. So you need to speak to a tools person. You need to bring HR with you, compliance, legal team. So in any stage, they really need to be aware of what you're doing and contribute into that. so that whenever you start launching this, you have a very good system established, go slow, and keep on reiterating until you have the perfection. Now, you want to have a perfection. I think people like you how freelancing works very well. I think they should contact people like you so that experience could be a lot better and faster and building the systems, or they should talk to you and me. I don't know, but there are not a lot of worldwide experts who have been building these platforms and the systems, and I think people should leverage those more and more.
Exactly, because when you are diving into this world of freelance and you talk to freelancers on a daily basis, you definitely kind of go to their brains, so you totally know how they feel, and especially when you are freelancing yourself, you also understand what you personally need. And I feel like it's always so much better to really know what you need than guessing what someone's needs are. And it's exactly to your point. And I feel like one more thing, so after freelancers get hired, they got onboarded, one more thing that companies are really afraid of, and people who hire freelancers, is how to manage them. Because usually freelancers are these individual components who doesn't need to be managed. They just go, they see the goal, they see the task, and they just work on it. So how do you manage an unmanageable thing?
That's also in my book, Leading the Unknown. I wrote the book because people were struggling, even full-time employees who were joining the workforce as full-time employees and remotely during COVID. Many managers came to me and they were saying, "Hey, Nuri, this is a full-time employee, he or she, based in India or based in Spain, and it's very difficult for me to manage and lead that person remotely. So I'm not able to take a coffee and go to take a pizza party or go and do bowling and etc." And I started to mentor a couple of very senior managers on how to manage remote full-time employee workers, because by COVID, we already had 3-4 years of experience of managing. It's all about community building. One thing, you remember the Uber driver.
Yeah.
One thing that I asked to the Uber driver was, "Hey, does Uber bring you together on events, social good activities, you talking to each other? Maybe you go to how to drive in the rain, how to drive in the snow kind of parties, or you knowing each other. Do they do that? Do you do in Spain, it's very popular. So motorbikers, they have unions, and they just would go over the weekend. You would see thousands of motorbikers coming and say, "What the hell is going on?" But they would go not to drink. Yeah. They would go to do social good. Those motorbikers that very strong people, they would go and do social good. We stole that idea too. So we started to build from the beginning a community. That community did a lot of social good locally and externally as well, and helping each other as well. So when you start exposing hearts into your full-time employee organization, the blend is a lot easier, right? We have named our, the typical all hands meeting. So company all hands meeting. We have every month, we have all hearts meeting. And that all hearts meeting, we invite full-time employees so that they can join, they can see, and they can start working together with the freelancers. To your question, managing them is not easy because it's 24/7, 72 different countries, thousands of people. We select the best operations, let's say coaches or leads, that are having the mindset that we have in terms of building community, helping each other, not only talking about work, not only talking about the transactions, but also always talking about the whys, and always talking about how does our work impact people's lives. So these are the things that we constantly talk about. When this happens, trust builds. When this happens, people not only work with their brains, but they start working and collaborating with their hearts. When you conquer the hearts of the people, it's magic, right? So this is how of course, we have dashboards, we have, KPIs and et cetera, and et cetera. Every freelancer that we have been working with, they had AI empowered dashboards so that they could see the outcomes on how much money they made, but also they saw the opportunities lost in terms of US dollar as well. Yeah. So this is very important, because think about support business, right? It's a transactional thing. And within that transaction, what you do is we implemented the pay-per outcome model. So it's not like we are paying you monthly. You take a case, you work on a case, customer satisfaction, speed, whatever, innovation, insights that is sent to the product team. Everything has been very well established in terms of pricing, right? You take a case, you take $5. I'm making it up. You have a great customer satisfaction, you have an additional $2. You bring us insights, you have $5 more. You have this, you have right? So you have all of this. So when you get to that thing, which is very easy to understand, the outcomes are very clear, and we are giving you the opportunity to say, hey, Yurii, you know what? Last week you made $1,500, and you missed, due to customer satisfaction, another $800. We are giving all of the hints to the people to be more successful, to make more money, and to serve their customers better. So that's kind of a combination of the tools that we give to the freelancers, the whys that we give to the freelancers, monthly all hearts call. By the way, we expose our organizations, our work, the number of people that we have in the organizations. Despite some of the objections, we don't say a head count. We don't count heads. It's a heart count.
Yeah, exactly.
Even those kind of small things, they really are very powerful and also very impactful. Sorry to have explained it a little bit longer, but I wanted to give you the full perspective on how we have been managing all of that organization.
I love what you are doing, because first of all, when you talk about community, you totally get me in, since I'm a huge fan of communities. I'm a community builder myself, and it sounds like you are creating community of freelancers around the product that you create, around the company. And I feel like at some point you won't even need any platforms and stuff, because you have people around you who like their hearts around you. And when you tap into, let's say, 10 people, they already know someone. So basically, by winning hearts of 10 people, you are winning like 30 potential freelancers. By winning hearts of 100 people, you are winning like thousands of potential freelancers to work with in the future. And I feel like at some point, I won't be surprised if you will have some kind of a platform that kind of like, hey, we have this best freelancers want to work with us. Here you can find them.
So. A couple of things, Yurii, is that, two things that I think will work very well. So we established the concept, which is called Mi Casa. My home is your home. So it was like Airbnb interchange. So one freelancer in Slovenia would put his house or her house in sites that they had, and someone from Kenya also did the same thing. And then they say, oh, let's interchange houses. And this happened for some time. So, people, you saw the person from Kenya, you saw that person living in the house of the person from Serbia. That's the first thing. That's really related to the hearts. But there was a second thing that has been done. It is an internal job market. So you are a freelancer in El Salvador, and I'm a freelancer in Spain. I have project management skills, and you have whatever technical skills. I have an opportunity in Spain that needs both of the skills. So, that freelancer started to put this opportunity, say, hey, I'm looking for a freelancer who can do this. And the person from El Salvador would just say, hey, I would do it as a side gig. So, when you start building those kind of social and also job-related platforms, everything is a lot easier, because you know what? We were a 1,000-person family, and pretty much everyone knew each other.
Sounds like fairy tale.
It is.
Like a good fairy tale, but that's the power of community. And I feel like it's also the power of human approach. And I feel like it's also something that many companies are missing, because they think about flexible talents, about freelancers as someone who is like they are one day in, like in a month they're out, and we'll never see them again. But it doesn't really work that way, because if you are building human connections, like you never know where your ways can intersect, and you never know where someone can refer someone to you just by doing that. And You know, Nuri, I really wish to have the sky is the limit to this conversation. I still have so many questions, but time is the limit. So the final question, what advice would you give to a company considering hiring freelancers for the first time?
Can it be a couple of advices?
Of course. Yeah, you can do like a whole guideline of how to do that.
Well, the first thing that I would like to say is go slow, go slow. So you have something that needs to be done. It doesn't require a lot of security compliance. First of the thing is go slow. Don't go and hire like 5,000 freelancers. So, take a small team. Find a platform that has a curated freelancer workforce. It needs to be curated. Bring your HR, CILA, legal team, security team together on the journey with you in the initial stages and phases. As you get those freelancers to work with you, make sure that you share the results and the outcomes and the learning with those people constantly so that they are always on board and they can give their opinions to you. If you need, work with experts like you, for example, Yurii. So, I really encourage, again, this is not an advertisement, I really encourage people to work with experts so that they can share what is and what is not. Last but not least, I believe that work used to be where you go in the beginning. Then it was converted that what you do, but now it is who you can become and how you can expand your intelligence. When you think about the last part, you will see that the only workforce that is able to expand your capabilities and intelligence within your company and outside of companies are the freelancers. I have no doubt about it because there are so many experts out there waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah, and I feel like this market is growing because I have many conversations with experts who are currently working full time and they're getting pissed off that they have to be owned by one person, by one company. They want to work with multiple clients. They're curious, as you've mentioned. They want to discover, they want to learn, they want to give back to a bigger community. So they want to ensure that their knowledge and their experience, everything they have, that it's not like getting burned under some pieces of paper and stuff like this paperwork and bureaucracy. They really want to make an impact in the world. And I feel like that's exactly when you see this passion, when you see this, you just go and work with freelancers. So last but not least, name 2 people I should reach out to talk about the independent workforce.
Well, the first person is an extraordinary person that I've been working. She's a freelancer and she's helped us to manage the community, especially if you want to talk about the community building part of it and the management part of it, is Laura Gil. She's based in Barcelona, fantastic person. And then the second person is, I could tell you should talk to Jem, who is the founder and the CEO of ProTeams, especially about the curation part of the freelancers. So I'll share you with the names and the contacts of them, but these are really fantastic person that you would like to talk to.
Great. Thank you very much. And what is the best way to connect with you?
You can find me in LinkedIn for sure. If you have listened to this podcast, you know who I am. My email address is nuri@bscope.com. I prefer to give my startup for all of those interactions. And if you want to talk to me a little bit more, talk to my digital twin, and you can see how you can talk to my digital twin in my LinkedIn posts as well. So
I would also encourage people to go find Human Cloud podcast with you, hosted by Matt Motoa, because there are also a lot of nuggets of wisdom inside. And most likely go and check your books, Leading the Unknown and the Inevitable Future of Work. I didn't do that, but I will do that. I'm going to do that right after the conversation. I'm going to Amazon. I'm just ordering those books and waiting for them to come. And then, we'll have definitely the volume 2. We'll have definitely the second part because you opened so many. I would say that you opened all these boxes of Pandora, and I still have so many things to ask, and you still have so much experience. And I truly believe that what you are doing, like I'm not talking just for the world of like the flexible talents, but you are also changing this future of work the way it is, because you are unlocking this independent, you are unlocking this, unlocking this heart connections, who is helping people to understand that there is more than one way to work, there is more than one way to be right. And thank you so much for doing this. And me today, I learned so many things from you, and it's just the beginning. So thank you so much.
Me too. Let's do another podcast sooner than
Will
later.
do, definitely. And yeah, see you in the freelance world. And for listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Independent Workforce. I hope you've taken one step closer to working smarter with freelance talent. If you enjoy this conversation, subscribe to learn even more and share it with your colleague. And remember, the future of work is now.